Hello, everyone, and welcome to the virtual caregiver retreat for families and caregivers of children with FASD and children who are spirited, intense, challenging, and all of those things that children can be. My name is Hiltrud Dawson. I'm the team lead at Health Nexus. At Health Nexus, we support communities and families with FASD through several projects, and we support parents and parents-to-be through many resources listed at www.bestdi.org. So hopefully we'll have something for you that you can use and use in your work at home with your children, in your lives at home with your children. Tonight we are on session 3 now. And I'd just like to do a few little, remind you of a few little things. First of all, we have the question and answer box. You'll see it in one of the icons on your screen, at the bottom of your screen maybe, or at the top. Please type in there if you have any questions. We will have time for questions, especially at the end, and our presenters may, I don't know if they do a break for questions halfway through at any point as well. But at the end, there will be for sure. There's also the chat. If you need any technical assistance, you can always type in there, and that should help to get you on track in any technical way. And really, I think that's just about all I need to say to that. So we'd really like to welcome you to the Mindfulness and Gentle Yoga. We as at Health Nexus and our production team have been all looking forward to this, because at the end of a long day, we need it just as much. And I'm hoping that you will all really enjoy this session. I just want to introduce our presenters, Carol Fedema-Spivak and Marielle Tai. Carol is a registered social worker with the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. She obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree at King's University College, a Bachelor of Social Work degree at McMaster University, and a graduate degree of Masters of Social Work at King's University College. She also trained in the clinical internship program in individuals, couples, and family counseling at Family Services Thames Valley. Carol has over 20 years social work experience with children, couples, and families in a variety of settings and roles, including the child welfare sector, the healthcare system, and in private practice. She has trained as a yoga instructor and has a special interest in blending a mind and body approach in her work. Marielle is a registered social worker with the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. Her pronouns are she and her. She completed both her Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Social Work degrees at the University of Waterloo, and most recently her Masters of Social Work at the University of Toronto in 2019, specializing in health and mental health. She's trained in acceptance and commitment therapy and is also a certified yoga and mindfulness facilitator. Marielle is passionate about mindful movement, social justice, and solidarity work, and building compassionate communities. Presently, she facilitates therapy-based groups for inpatients with psychosis at the Centre for Addictions and Mental Health in Toronto. Her past work experience over the last 5 years also includes serving homelessness and street-involved youth and families in the Hamilton area and trauma-focused individual therapy for women. Please join me all in welcoming Carol and Marielle.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. We're so excited to be here this evening. As we begin our session tonight, we wanted to begin with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the Middlesex London region is on Indigenous land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples for thousands of years. There are longstanding relationships of the 3 local First Nations groups of this land and place in Middlesex County and the City of London. The 3 First Nations communities closest in proximity to Middlesex County and the City of London are Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, part of the Anishinaabe, Oneida Nation of the Thames, part of the Haudenosaunee, and Munsee Delaware Nation, part of the Lenni Lenape.
And for the Toronto area, we acknowledge that the Toronto region is on the traditional land of the many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse nations, Inuit and Métis peoples, diverse First Nations, sorry. The city also acknowledges that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and the Chippewa bands. We also acknowledge that participants, so all of you, and thank you so much for being here this evening, that you're joining us this evening from many other territories elsewhere on Turtle Island. And in addition to this land acknowledgement, we also wanted to acknowledge that we are two white women who do practice yoga, and we have the honor of facilitating in an evidence-based way and a therapeutic way. We hold great respect for mindfulness, for yoga, their cultural roots, history tracing back to South Asia, the benefits that it can bring us, and we honor the origins. We are grateful to be able to use mindful movement practices for this group with you this evening.
So here lists our agenda for tonight and the 3 activities that we're going to be focusing on and sharing with you. We wanted to inform you and share with you that the information that we're sharing is based upon the Evidence-Based Therapeutic Modalities Act, which stands for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, and also CFT, which stands for Compassion Focused Therapy. So both of these therapy modalities are third wave CBT modalities, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which many of you might be familiar with or have some knowledge on. And we just want you to know that that's where we're coming from as well. So as well as the yoga and the mindfulness, that our work is informed by these models. As with any of the work or the activities that we do, or the gentle yoga or mindful movement, we really want to encourage you to do you tonight. And so what we mean by that is, if tonight is you're just sitting back and leaving your camera off and wanting to watch along and just observe what's going on, and that works for you, then that's great. If you want to participate or take notes or write in the chats, then we invite that as well. So whatever you're needing tonight, we want you to come as you are and meet your needs where you're at. Also important to share that this is not a group therapy session, although these modalities are informing some of this work. Rather, we're really sharing that information with you tonight in a way to begin that self-care work. And I think we've all heard that, we can't take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves. And that can be really hard for caregivers when so much of our focus is on the people that we're caring for. And we want to shift the focus a little bit tonight in looking how we can take care of ourselves with compassion and with acceptance, and using some of these skills like mindfulness and mindful movement to do just that.
Thank you, Carol. So our first activity is called the Heroes Exercise, and we come at this very flexibly. So you do have the option, if you'd like, you can grab pen and paper, you can follow along and take notes, or you can just simply listen and reflect and just kind of see sort of what this means for you. And like Carol was saying earlier, this exercise does come from acceptance and commitment therapy. And it operates from the understanding that life is hard, that pain and suffering is a part of life, despite this being really quite a painful thing to both experience and reconcile. And so this activity, the Heroes Exercise that you see kind of written out on the screen right here, it's a tool to help us identify the characteristics and qualities that we wish to embody, what we want our life to be about. So before I kind of talk about it, I just want to put a question out there that we can all take a moment just to consider. This question: what do you want to do with your time on this earth? I can say it again. What do you want to do with your time on this earth? And so we can actually reflect on this a little bit further as we start to let that percolate a little bit by starting with identifying who our heroes are. So who in our life that we look up to? Thinking about how do they or how have they kept on going, even when life gets hard. And so this exercise comes from a great book. It's called The Act Book of Metaphors. And so the first question there, or the prompt, is to think about who your heroes are. And so we start to choose a few people that we admire. So again, folks, if you do want to grab a pen or paper and start to write this down and follow along with us, you are welcome to. But you can also, again, just listen and start to think about someone in your life that maybe you admire, or maybe a few people. And again, these could be people that we know. Maybe these are friends or family or a celebrity. This could be someone famous. That's okay. Even a fictional character like Harry Potter. So we start with number one. What's the name of our hero? It's okay if there's more than one. So we've identified this person or these people. And then we start to think about number two, the values this person embodies that you admire. What are they all about? What matters to them? These are their values. And as we move into number three, the prompt is actions that you can take to start moving in the direction of being more like this person. So what might that look like in your life? So another way to think about actions are behaviors. These are things that we could see each other doing. And of course, it's important to be mindful, and that's very much the essence of tonight, to think about what are some potential obstacles. So these could be difficult thoughts, some tough emotions, painful memories from our past. What things that could potentially get in the way of our committed actions? So our committed actions are our values, right? The things that we're doing to move towards our values. They're purposeful. And connected to this is number five, what are skills or exercises that we might use in order to handle these obstacles so that we can keep our feet moving towards being like our hero? And again, whether we are writing this down or we're just sitting here and taking a mindful moment to contemplate, who are people in my life that I really admire, and what is it about them that I admire? What kind of qualities or characteristics? What would it look like if I was starting to do that in my own life? What would those behaviors or actions be? How can I support myself if kind of moving towards that gets tough? And so on our next slide, we kind of tease this out a little bit further with some nice examples. Thank you, Carol. So again, the top where you've got the bolded writing, these are the same prompts from the first slide. So for my hero, we've got the example of Oprah Winfrey. So this is just to help us kind of understand what these questions are getting at. So we have Oprah Winfrey as our hero, our celebrity, the person that we admire. So what values does Oprah have that maybe we kind of notice? So we've got perseverance, assertiveness, being genuine. And so if in our life, we're imagining that this is us perhaps, the exemplar, how can I move toward being like my hero? So being like Oprah. So we've got going after that new job. because Oprah's all about perseverance. And we also have telling my partner how I feel. And of course, we have to notice some potential obstacles, and those obstacles being thoughts that might show up for us, difficult emotions or feelings, right? Memories from the past, even urges, things that we feel like we want to do. So we have both fear and emotion here. So fear that I'm not, or a thought and an emotion, sorry, fear that I'm not good enough to land the job. Fear that my partner will get mad or leave me. And then lastly, what can I do to move forward anyway? So even though these thoughts that maybe I'm not good enough, emotions like fear are present, what can I do to support myself so that I'm still moving toward or taking these committed actions towards my goal of going after that new job? So another way we can look at this is coping skills. So the example says grounding breathing, compassionate self-talk. So this is a beautiful exercise that we can do in moments where if we're feeling a little bit disconnected from ourselves, sort of this idea, I feel like I've come away from myself, I'm feeling overwhelmed. What are the things that matter most to me? Are there people in my life that embody some of these qualities or characteristics? What does that look like if I apply this to me, what I want to be about? And I know for me, I think about my mom. My mom is a hero in my life. So I like to stay strong like her when I'm struggling, when I'm noticing pain, emotional pain. And she's someone who doesn't give up. These are qualities that I really admire about her. So even when life is stressful, I've noticed that she finds ways to keep on going. So I kind of think, well, what would my mom do, or what can I do so that I'm still doing the things that matter to me? And very similar to the Oprah example, it's often things like I need to remember to breathe and tell myself I can do this instead of beating myself up. What about you, Carol? Who's a hero in your life?
Yeah, I think this is such a great exercise to really challenge, like, who do you look up to, or those qualities that you really admire and that you want to be a part of your life. So I had spent some time thinking about this. I was like, who really is my hero? And I came up with one of my first supervisors when I first started in child welfare. And she just really embodied a strength-based focus and being calm and cool, just a really calm, confident presence. And someone else had said about her that they had seen her run countless meetings, but had never seen her tell someone else what to do, because she just built up the problem-solving capacity so well that people were willing to work together. Anyway, those are definitely qualities that I admired, someone that I looked up to. And how that really relates, I don't know how I can move toward being more like my hero. Committed actions is going after that strength-based focus, like really using that, really embodying that in my own practice, in my social work during my career, looking for solutions. Things that come up in the way can be really difficult, like ethical dilemmas or situations that come up that are challenging, and your own emotions can get caught up and react in that. And yet being able to separate what is mine and what is not mine, and then work on the problem solving was something that I could move forward with, and still look at those values or the things that I admired.
I think a lot of us have someone in our life that we, whether they were a mentor or a family member, again, it could totally be a celebrity or a fictional character. I know I said Harry Potter earlier because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, but I love the way that you sort of tied in, these are qualities that I appreciate about her, but then what does that look like if I apply those qualities in my life, and how can I try to act upon them? Yeah. And so that's very much, folks, in essence, sort of the hope of this activity. It's hopefully not meant to stump us too much. And again, it's food for thought. This does come from acceptance and commitment therapy. And a theme of tonight is thinking about our values. So who and what matters to us? What can acceptance look like in my life? A mindful awareness, and we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But this can be a tool in moments that we feel we might be struggling or come away from ourselves, just kind of sitting down and thinking about whether it is just sitting and thinking about our values, or who's a hero in my life, who's someone that I look up to. Am I living in a way that sort of aligns with the qualities in them that I really appreciate And on the note about acceptance, and I know this word can be a tough one, and we're sort of turning to wrap up this exercise as we move into our next component, we really wanted to highlight that acceptance doesn't mean, I'm okay with what's happening to me in my life. And we have caregivers joining us tonight. Thank you for being here. And there can be many burdens with this. It's not necessarily, I'm totally okay with this happening, with what's going on, or I agree with what's happening. Acceptance, more so in how we use it here when we're doing this compassion work as courageous caregivers, is I'm experiencing pain in this moment. And yes, it sucks, truly. And I can still live in a way that aligns with what matters most to me. I can keep on taking steps towards a life of meaning, even when my pain is present. So if it's going after that new job, I can take a deep breath. I can reground if I notice that fear is showing up for me, and thoughts that maybe I'm not good enough. I can notice that. I can support myself with my different coping strategies, because at the end of the day, perseverance, this nice example that we have up here, perseverance is my value. So at the end, when we have our Q&A, we would love to hear from folks. If you have any more questions about this activity, we are more than happy to answer. But if folks have thought about who someone is in your life that's a hero, we would love to hear at the end if you'd like to share.
Thank you so much, Marielle. I love that exercise, and leaving us with this question: who do you admire, and what do you want to be about in your life? So what we're sharing here in this exercise is that this is mindfulness, right? Paying attention and bringing our attention here through this exercise about the qualities that we want our life to be about, that we may want to be about, or the values, the things that are important to us. So spending some time, and sometimes we can get stumped, like Marielle said, about what we want that to look like. And so an exercise like the Heroes exercise can make that come alive a little easier and bring it to our attention. So leaving you with this question, and also moving into our next portion, which is some gentle yoga, we want to carry along with that mindfulness approach and that paying attention to ourselves as we're moving our bodies on our yoga mat. And before we get started, we do just want to share with you again that idea of you do you. So as we move into these movements and some gentle yoga, please don't move into pain. If you have any injury or pain and it's not feeling good, or it's a burning sensation or hot or stabbing pain, please don't do that pose, and modify and pull back. You should always be doing exercise with the consent of your physician, and we just want you to be careful, because we can't see you, we can't cue you or correct. So moving in a way that is meeting your own needs. So we will give you lots of options and different cues for movement, and please move in a way that feels good to you. So you are invited, and we invite you to join us on our mat right now, and in a standing posture. You just want to have a space, hopefully, where you have some ability not to bang into anything. And we're just starting in a standing posture. If you take a look down at your feet, they want to be about 2 fists widths apart. So the distance between each of your feet. And maybe just lifting up all of your toes and spreading them out on the ground, really feeling yourself connecting into the floor And we're going to take that attention and draw it up our legs, maybe even pulling the knees up, tightening the front legs, muscles of the legs. And at the same time, really connecting and grounding down to the earth. Palms are face forward, arms are down by your side. Imagine there's a pencil in the middle of your shoulder blades, lightly pressing in, and your shoulder blades turn towards the center of the pencil. Like there's a string at the top of your head, pulling you nice and tall, lengthening the spine, and tucking the chin in a little bit so your neck is in line. Invite you to soften your gaze, even closing your eyes. And this is mountain pose. As starting off like this is not a passive pose. There's lots of purposeful energy here. And maybe you're noticing a little bit of a sway, yet your body is standing tall and strong. Let's take a breath here on purpose, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And again, inhaling, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. See if you can leave the day ahead of you in the past, the day behind you in the past, and the evening ahead of you where it is, and being right here on your mat in this moment. Good. Option here to bring the arms forward and up or out and up. Bringing the hands up over top of the head, palms meeting together. And exhale, hands back down to heart center. Good. Again, inhale, rising up. Hands meeting. Exhale, bringing the hands down to center. Good. We're going to take our arms and just do some swinging motions. The opposite hand is going to reach the opposite elbow. So in this movement, our knees are nice and soft. We're not stiff, but there's still some control. There's gentleness and fluidity, almost as if we're rotating gently around the spine. Doing some really soft twists. This time, moving the hands down to hit the opposite hip. And down to the knees. Good, knees are bent, nice and soft. The effort with the ease. Back up to hips. And shoulders. Noticing the breath. And back in mountain. So bring the arms back behind. I'm going to move so that you can see me. So if you can interlace your fingers, that's fine. If you can't get your fingers together, pressing in, your palms facing each other like you're squeezing a ball behind you. And maybe noticing if you can roll the shoulders up, down, and back in this posture. Good. And we're going to take the right ear to the right shoulder. Good. Back up to center, the left ear to the left side. Filling the belly with air on the inhale. Good. Back up to center, arms relaxed. You wiggle the hands a little bit. We're going to inhale the arms up, fingers clasp, and we're going to be reaching over to the right side. Good. And while we're reaching over in a C shape and feeling that stretch through the left side, really grounding your left leg into the mat. So not letting your hip pop out like that, trying to keep the lower body nice and strong, and movement in the upper body. Good. Arms are hugging up or near around the ears. This is hard on your arms. You can bend the elbows. You can do it at the chest, hugging the chest. Inhale back up to center. Good. We're going to take it over to the left side. Really rooting down with the right leg, keeping the hips in tight. Again, the same options for the arms. If it's hurting your shoulders, you can even bring an arm down to the side. And back up to center. Letting the arms float down to the side. Beautiful. Okay, inhaling the arms up, out to the sides, extended and strong. Again, our feet are still connected with our mat. Nice and strong lower body. We're going to cross the right arm over the left arm in front. Now, you may choose to hug your shoulders here in this pose. The other option is to lift, bending up at the elbows, keeping the palms back to back. Or you can cross over, the back of the hands back to back, or crossing over and bringing the palms together. Thank you, Marielle, for the side view there. Good, and with the inhale, we're gonna lift the elbows up a little bit in front, feeling perhaps the stretch across the back of the shoulders. And we're gonna exhale, lower down into chair pose. So as if you're sitting in a chair, having the glutes come right back. Now see if your weight is shifted into the heels of the feet. If you could even lift your toes up off your mat a little bit. Good, and inhale, pressing down on the feet and lengthening up with the arms, and arms coming back down to the side. Beautiful. Getting our center feel again. In mountain, inhaling the arms up, the left hand over the right arm, either hugging here or bending up at the elbows, backs of the hands together, or one more twist and palms together. Good. Inhale, the elbows lift up a little bit and pressing, sitting back into our chair pose. Noticing the strength and the power in the legs holding you up. Our heels and feet are firmly connected to the mat. Maybe you can lift or wiggle your toes a little bit and feel the power sitting back in your heels. Good, while pressing down with the power and at the same time reaching up to lift up back into standing posture. Back in mountain, it's helpful to put our hands on our hip, and we're going to take our right foot and step back into warrior one. So there's about 2 to 3 feet in between your 2 feet. Our right feet are pointed up at the top angle of your mat. Your left foot is pointed forward. If you take a look down, you can still see your toes. And you want to make sure your hip bones are still facing the front of the mat. So if you feel you're twisted out inside, instead of twisting, see if you can alter that back leg a little bit. Take a shorter step, maybe a little narrower, whatever helps you to keep your hips aligned to the front of the mat. Good. Once you're steady and feeling strong, we're going to inhale, press in on the left knee, a bit of a lunge, And inhale the arms up. Option here to take a little bit of an upper back bend. So lifting the chest up, keeping the core tight, and looking up to your fingers. Again, option here to bend at the arms, keep the arms at heart center, hands at the waist if that feels better. Good. So deepening the inhale to the belly and lengthening the exhale. Hands back to heart center, stepping back up into mountain. Beautiful, hands by your side. We're going to take a step back with the left foot, checking that the hips are facing the front of the mat. Left toes are pointed out at about a 45-degree angle. Right toes are pointed straight forward. We're going to inhale, rise the arms up. Lunging into the right leg. Power in our stance. Good. Option here to stay in the lunge and bring the arms down behind you. Again, like that earlier pose, if it feels good to just press the arms together like you're squeezing a ball, or interlacing the fingers and reaching back and down with the shoulders and gently looking up. Good, strong, powerful legs and foundation. Good. And releasing the arms and stepping back into mountain. Let's do 2 breaths here on purpose. Inhaling, belly rise. And in whichever way is most comfortable for you, we invite you to make your way down to the mat in a seated position. Again, if a preference is for a chair on a couch, that's possible too.
So we are moving into some seated postures. So I'm going to stay up on my knees. I just find for my body that's more comfortable. I have pretty tight hips, so sitting cross-legged is less accessible for me. You will notice that Carol is seated, cross-legged. So this is your opportunity to just check in. Again, tonight is about mindfulness and mindful awareness. So how is my body feeling this evening? What position is going to be most comfortable for me? And as always, you do you. So of course you are invited to follow along with our postures that are now on the mat seated. But if at any point you want to find a different position, if you just want to pull back and listen, if you feel like closing your eyes, we know it's your Monday night and you've shown up here. You do you, listen to what your body needs, okay? And I'll turn myself again to the sides just so you can see the posture from facing forward with Carol or on the side with me. So now that we are here in a seated posture, we're going to be moving through some spinal undulations. So for folks who've done yoga before, you'll have done this before in a more formal cat-cow, but we also wanted to show you this posture that you could do at home, in a chair, in the middle of your workday. It's just a nice way to move your spine gently, kind of work out any stiffness that you might be noticing. So again, I'm just going to sit myself this way. So when we're doing a spinal undulation, I don't know if you can see my hand here, but we're really just moving our spine really gently, kind of like this, okay? So again, whether you're seated kind of up on your bum or cross-legged, just a nice tall spine here. Kind of rolling the shoulders back a little bit, letting the arms hang heavy, or you can place your palms on your upper thighs. On your next in-breath, so your inhaling, we're going to round the spine forward, letting the head come down. And on our next breath, inhale or exhale, there's no right or wrong here. We're going to open up the chest, gaze coming up. So rounding the spine, letting the head come down last, kind of hanging heavy here. Maybe it's better if on our inhale, coming up, opening the shoulders, even imagining that our shoulder blades are squeezing a little bit closer together, and then our head coming up last. Nice work, everybody. So our spinal undulations. Moving to find kind of that nice little bend in the spine. Maybe on your exhale, and then on that next inhale, opening up the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, gaze coming up last. So this is our variation, but we can also call this cow. Moving into cat, rounding the spine. And opening back up into cow. So we'll try that one more time, moving into cat. And opening up the chest, the shoulders, coming into cow. Beautiful. Nice work, everyone. So folks have probably or possibly done this. If you've done some yoga before, you might have done this as a standing posture, and these are all seated variations. So we're going to find something called seated side angle. So just taking your right hand and placing it right next to you on the mat or on the floor on the right side. On our inhale breath, inhaling the left arm up overhead. Beautiful. Looks like Carol and I are going to make a heart when we start to reach, but then just really gently, we're reaching over towards the right side. Oh, look at that. That was unplanned. I love it. So this is our seated side angle. So as you're in this posture, you can play around here. If you're finding that you could go a little bit lower, you can play with that right arm. So depending on where the floor is for you, maybe you can come down onto that forearm. We're just mindful of not collapsing too much into the side body. So if it's comfortable, stay up on those fingers. Maybe you gaze up towards the left hand or the left fingers. But we're sending breath over into the left side of the body here. So just feeling a nice stretch, again, also on that left side. So we'll stay here for a few nice and deep, purposeful breaths. And as we gently let this go, we're going to raise our right hand. We're going to give ourselves a high five for showing up here tonight. Nice work. Bringing our left hand down onto the mat beside the left side of the body. Same as the other side, but now we're reaching over towards the left. So again, we can gaze up at the left hand, and we're breathing and sending breath over into the right side of the rib cage. This is a great time also to practice some mindfulness. So how do we feel over on this side of the body as compared to when we were bending over towards the right? We are not symmetrical. We hold weight. We hold stress differently. What do you notice? So just reaching for one more breath here over towards the left side. And then on that in-breath, once again, let's give ourselves a nice high five. Thanks for being here, everyone. And then bringing the hands through heart center or out from either side of the body. Nice work. Doing a time check here. Okay, we're going to find some seated twists. So I'll turn myself this way so you can all see me. Option to play around or adjust depending on how you're feeling. Sometimes when we're sitting up on the heels or the legs like this, our feet can fall asleep. So nice tall spine, taking your right hand, placing it on the left knee, left hand coming behind the left sit bone, and then really gently, we can start with the head, and we're actually moving through our hips. We're gently starting to twist, and we're going to gaze over that left shoulder. So this is a really gentle spinal twist. We can do variations of this also laying down. You can do this in your chair during your workday. Let's take a few more breaths here. And as we turn to let this go, we'll start with the head. So starting to untwist, starting to move through the hips, the arms, coming back to center as we let that go. And I'll just turn myself the other way as we do the right side. So nice tall spine. This time we are bringing, oh, I think I've messed myself up here. I may be twisting the wrong way. I think I gotta move. What side am I on? We're gonna take our right hand and we're placing it on the, no, left hand is going on the right knee. Thank you, Carol. Right hand is coming back behind the right sit bone. This is why I moved over this way. And then once again, so just starting with the head, but we're also twisting through our hips and the lower body and just twisting to now gaze towards the right shoulder. Maybe gently dropping the shoulders if you've noticed they've come up around the ears. And it's another opportunity to check in with your body. How's my neck doing? How's my breathing? Can I soften my shoulders here? Even noticing where our mind might be going, what thoughts might be present for me. And can I remind myself during this practice that I have nowhere to go, nowhere to be, but right here in this very moment. Our breath is this tool to ground us back in the here and now. So again, really gently, we can start with the head and then the shoulders and then the lower spine, but we are twisting back to center as we let that go. Can roll our shoulders a little bit. Nice work. So I know I need to move my feet. So we're gonna bring our feet in front of us. So we're still in a seated posture. Perfect, Carol. So I don't know if you guys can see my feet if I move myself back a little bit, but if it's accessible, we can keep a little bend in the knees. Our legs don't need to be totally locked out. See if you can sit with still a tall spine. Turn myself this way actually, and then you can see us from both angles. So we're pointing our toes up towards the ceiling, but again, you don't have to have your legs totally locked out. And we're just gonna be stretching out the backs of the calves. Even maybe you'll feel it in your hamstrings potentially. But just as Carol had us doing before, on that in-breath, reaching the arms up overhead. And then we're just going to stretch towards our toes, our nice and flexed toes, feeling a little bit of a stretch in the back of the legs here. And you have the option to just drop your head, to kind of hang heavy here, just like Carol. Nice work. You might be reaching for your toes. Your toes might be really far away. There's no right or wrong here. We're just stretching and feeling a bit of a stretch in the backs of our legs, okay? So we're not moving into pain. Listening to our body, what feels good. So we can let that go. If you want, you can even pedal out the legs a little bit here. Beautiful. Or whatever other stretch might feel good for your body. But we are going to be moving into our meditation portion that Carol will be leading us through. So with meditation, you can be in whatever posture is most comfortable for you. It might be seated. It might be laying down in Shavasana. So in Shavasana, we're truly just laying on our backs with our palms resting up towards the ceiling. Carol's just adjusting so she can lead us through our meditation. If you want to sit on a couch or just somewhere different, no matter, or depending on where you are in your home, but just get nice and comfy here for our final meditation, which you'll be able to close your eyes and be able to listen. So Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking away, but I was still on mute. Thank you so much, Marielle. I hope everyone's feeling a little bit stretched out a little bit, or like you've had some good mindful movement and enjoyed that. So whatever position is comfortable for you, I'm going to lead us through a guided meditation. And if you haven't had that experience before, I'm just going to be giving some instructions on what to be thinking about. It's called the kind hand exercise. And I just encourage you to soften your gaze, close your eyes, get into a comfortable position. There's going to be lots of options in terms of considering what we're doing in the meditation. And if that doesn't work for you, that's okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this meditation. So please do what is comfortable for you. I invite you now to find a comfortable position in which you are grounded and alert. So for example, if you're seated in a chair, you could lean slightly forward, straighten your back, drop your shoulders, and press your feet gently onto the floor. Now bring to mind a problem you are struggling with. Take a few moments to reflect on the nature of this issue. Remember what has happened. Consider how it is affecting you. And think about how it might affect your future. And as you do this, notice what difficult thoughts and feelings arise. Tap into a sense of curiosity and notice where you feel this pain in your body. Is it in your head, your neck, shoulders, throat, chest, abdomen, arms, or legs? Notice it as if you are a curious child discovering something totally new and fascinating. Where exactly is it, and what's it like? Now pick one of your hands and turn it palm upward. And take a moment to connect with times you have used this hand in kind ways. Perhaps you have held the hand of a loved one in pain, or rubbed their back, or given them a supportive hug. Or maybe you have cuddled and rocked a crying baby. Or maybe you have used this hand to help out a friend with some difficult task. See if you can fill this hand right now with that same sense of caring, support, and kindness. Imagine it filling up with warm, kind energy. Now place this hand slowly and gently on whichever part of your body hurts the most. Perhaps you feel the pain most in your chest or in your head, neck, or stomach. Wherever it is most intense, lay your hand there. And if you're numb, lay your hand on the part that feels the numbest. And if you're feeling neither pain nor numbness, then gently rest your hand over your heart. Allow your hand to rest there, lightly and gently. Feel it against your skin or against your clothes. And feel the warmth flowing from your palm into your body and spreading in all directions, up and down. And wherever you find an area of pain or tightness or tension, let that warm, kind energy infuse it. And imagine your body softening around this discomfort, loosening up, softening, and making plenty of space. If you're numb, then soften and loosen around that numbness. And if you're neither hurting nor numb, then imagine it any way you like. You might imagine that in some magical sense, your heart is opening, for example. Hold your pain or numbness very gently. Hold it as if it is a crying baby, or a whimpering puppy, or a priceless and fragile work of art. Infuse this gentle action with caring and warmth, as if you are reaching out to someone you care about. Let the kindness flow from your fingers into your body. Now use both of your hands in one kind gesture. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your stomach. Let them both rest gently there and hold yourself kindly. And as you rest in this space of warmth and kindness, take a moment to consider that this pain or numbness is a part of being human. It's not a sign of something wrong with you. It's a sign that you are a living, caring human being. This is what living, caring humans feel when life is difficult. We hurt, or we shut ourselves down, or go numb. This is something you have in common with every living human on the planet. It's a part of who you are, a part of being human and having a heart. Take a few moments to sit in this manner, connecting with yourself, caring for yourself, contributing comfort and support. Continue this for as long or as little as you wish. It's the spirit of kindness that counts when you make this gesture and not the duration of it. When you're ready, I invite you to take some gentle movement, perhaps wiggling the toes and fingers, opening your gaze, and joining us back here in our virtual meeting space.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Carol. I appreciated the cue around how can you hold this part of yourself that's been hurting, the way that you might hold like a crying baby or a puppy, like just with such gentleness. And I even noticed like my hand softened a little bit.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
I love this quote. So we're turning towards wrapping up shortly. Thank you all so much for coming and for being here. We had a few quotes or offerings that we wanted to kind of leave you with, some food for thought as we're doing this work of turning inward, of nurturing ourselves, of being kind and compassionate. Our discussion earlier about acceptance, right? That we can, this is what we can offer ourselves when life feels really, really tough. Sort of this idea of let go of control because you never had it anyway. And again, with acceptance, as we leave this here, just some food for thought. You can look at the image. It's really cute. Around acceptance not being I'm okay necessarily with what's happening in my life right now. It's this is painful. This is where I'm at in this moment. What can I do to support myself? And how can I keep moving towards the things that matter most, even though it's hurting? What are things we can let go of that are not serving us in this very moment?
Mm-hmm. Marielle, that's so beautiful. And what also comes to mind for me is that the difference here between some of that internal stuff that we can let go as well in terms of our responses or the pain or the inner critic, and also sometimes there are external situations where we also don't have control over certain things, right? And that doesn't mean we leave problems unsolved or we don't still keep trying and want to do our best. There's a difference between that and acceptance, but that understanding and bringing our paying attention and mindfulness to that, also in line with who and what's most important to us, those values from the heroes and how we're going to do that can be really powerful work.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kristen Neff is one of the leaders in mindful self-compassion, and it's similar to kind of the kind hand meditation that we did, is this thought that we could actually be kind to ourselves or check that inner critic of what we're saying to ourselves when things are tough and how we want to respond to that. And we give ourselves compassion not to feel better, but because we feel bad. I just think that's so beautiful on its own. But what also comes to mind is, for example, or how to make this quote even more come alive, is when you have a child, say with a fever, and that child is not doing well, and they're not feeling well, and you sit with them and you hold them and you give them nurturance and care. That doesn't make the fever go away. But the nurturing and the compassion and being there because the fever is there is what's so powerful. And likewise, in order to be able to continue to give to the children or the people that we are caregivers for, how can we also turn that compassion inwards to that self-care and really being really mindful of how we care for ourselves when difficult life stuff does come up.
I appreciate that, Carol. Even sort of the sentiment, the same way that you're holding a part of yourself or the way that you might hold a crying baby, right? You're going to hold it in a soothing, kind way, being attentive, being warm, being empathetic. So knowing this idea of self-care, self-compassion, it's how do we turn that towards ourselves? How do we hold ourselves, whether physically or metaphorically, but how do we kind of bring that kindness, that care for us? How do we hold ourselves in times when we're hurting, knowing that's when we need it the most?
Yeah. Yeah. And the idea can be pretty simple, but that doesn't mean that it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of how to turn that care and compassion inwards. And we can grow that skill or grow that muscle by paying attention to what's coming up and using that mindfulness and how we want to be in line with the who and what is important to us, or the values again.
Yeah, we need mindfulness to notice how are we feeling in this moment in our bodies. This is where yoga can be a tool. It's not just exercise per se or a way to move or wiggle, but it's also that other tool to pay attention. What's happening for me right here and now? And then what do I need to do to care for myself? Or what steps can I take that move me towards the stuff that matters most to me? Yeah, well said, Carol.
Fantastic.
Thank you to everyone for attending. We are so glad that you came.